Our next speaker is Jess Lawson, who's Head of Content Infrastructure at Oxford University Press, and she's going to be talking to us about the Oxford Index.
I'm going to actually start with an apology and say I'm not going to be talking about the Oxford Index. The Oxford Index was the trigger of a lot of what we're now doing, but it didn't really touch hugely on semantics. It will benefit from them in the future. So that was my first apology. My second apology is that I flew in from New York this morning and I'm currently powered on caffeine, so I hope this goes well. So I just wanted to sort of cover the things that I am going to cover, which is why we're doing semantic enrichment at OUP, why we feel that it's important, what challenges we've had to deal with whilst taking this approach, and how we're trying to answer them. We've not answered them all. It's an ongoing implementation. I don't imagine it will ever come to an end. So what's our case for semantic enrichment? The big one for me is linking. We have content across multiple platforms. We've got multiple products. I can't even remember how many different products we now have. And it's the ability to link all of that content. It's semantic search. Google have just released their latest algorithms, which really put emphasis on the power of semantics and being able to explain what your content is about in Hummingbird. And then the other big one, because we've got content in lots of different places, but often about the same thing, it's the ability to build microsites and mashups, similar to what's happening at Elsevier. So the challenges. Well, OUP, we're fairly old. We've been around a bit. We've got lots of different content in lots of different places. Some of it's fairly well formed and nicely tagged, and other bits are still on PDF, dare I name it. It's all over the place, and it's a huge challenge. None of it is in an industry standard DTD. It's in about 6 different DTDs, which is in XML. And we want to get it to look like this. We want it to be all nice and streamlined and be able to really work with it and process it. With OUP, we don't have huge amounts of money to throw at it, and we don't have huge amounts of resource to throw at it. And we want to keep everybody happy. I apologize to American colleagues, and maybe this is an example of the power of semantics. I put into Google Images a search for, can't remember exactly what I searched for, but I think it was angry people, and I got back Barack Obama and Chris Christie. Whether it's because I happened to be in New York at the time, I'm not sure, but interesting. But yeah, this trying to get meaning out of your content, it's not straightforward, and you've got to find ways of doing it as seamlessly as possible. So OUP, we started from a fairly good place compared to what I suspect others may have to deal with. The first thing was that we have relatively well-structured content. It is in multiple different data models. It's in multiple different content management silos and web silos, but it is there, and it is relatively well-structured. Doesn't mean it's yet intelligent content. It's not as semantically rich as we'd like it to be, and that's our challenge to get it there. So what are we doing to overcome that? Well, we are concentrating on separating our documents, our text, from the metadata. I heard someone mention the word, the three-letter acronym RDF earlier. I'll try not to go into it too much myself because it's not my strongest of points, but we are taking the approach of holding our content, our raw content, our text, our document files as XML, standardizing as much as possible, and then holding our metadata, our data, our meaning, and our relationships as RDF format.
And we're doing. Can you say what GAB stands for? I missed it if you did.
Sorry, what?
GAB.
Oh, sorry. GAB is the Global Academic Business. So that's just to add the complex. No, it's a very fair point.
I know your acronym. There's a new one to me.
So global academic business, and it's part of the complexity and the difficulty that we have to deal with. It's our traditional books business in the UK, it's our original books business in the US, it's our journals business, all combined together. So we've got content in any format that you can possibly think of. So overcoming the challenge, we're adding meaning to our data. And the way that we're really doing this is using what we've already got. We have got relatively rich content. It's got some really good structures in it already. We've got headings, we've got reference material, we've got encyclopedias. Back of book indexes, they seem sort of meaningless in an online and digital world, but they're actually really, really rich. Someone spent a lot of time trying to explain what the content is about and making it findable. Might have been in a really old-fashioned way, flicking to the back of the book, flicking to the front of the book, but it's rich data, and we're trying to monopolize that. We have keywords, we have subject taxonomies already. We've got very rich biographical metadata. I'm a stand-in for Robert Faber, who, bless him, had the foresight of thinking, get your data detailed, put the granularity in from the outset. Our biographical data is incredibly rich. We don't have to worry about marking up birth dates, death dates, occupations. It's there. This is my one reference to the Oxford Index as part of the building of Oxford Index, and I do suggest people go and look at it. It's oxfordindex.oup.com. It's a fantastic site. You can do cross-search across all of our products and our content. It's linked up information, and it's free, which is unusual for us. As part of that, we took all of our reference material and pulled together everything that was about the same person, the same topic, into what is, in fact, a multi-domain ontology. So we already have that in the authorities. And then we have very rich dictionary data, which we can really utilize. So we've got the data. Some of it's very rich, some of it's not so much. So we started to text mine and apply semantic tags. Same as everybody else has already talked about. We developed our own tools to enable this, and I'm actually just going to skip a slide because it's slightly out of order. We've built a metadata repository. This takes content from multiple content management systems, extracts it through a pre-ingestion layer, creates a metadata file for every piece of content we have, and this is at the article or the entry level, or chapter level. That's all stored in this is for the technical people in the room. We have a Solr index based on an XML file store with an RDF triple store, and that's about as technical as I'm going to get. And that allows us to deliver out in the standard format to all means, but it also gives us the solution to what has been our biggest problem, which are these locked silos. It allows us to pull a record of every piece of content that we have with a deep abstract, and then process it, look at it, semantically tag it with common taxonomies and ontologies, and then run those comparisons. And up until doing that, we just had no means of being able to do that. And I've probably run through this very quickly, probably the caffeine. The output of all of this is that we are able to do cross-product linking. We have triangulation of links through our overviews. And we have relationships, and we have link types, and we're able to identify what the different link types. I mentioned RDF very quickly. The other thing that we're doing with RDF, and it's utilizing the semantic enrichment, but we're about to start publishing it as RDFA. So in our online products, putting up RDF with attributes embedded into our HTML. We're learning from the best of breed with BBC. This apparently increased their search rankings 20%. Can't do any harm. The power of this isn't so much that it's about adding semantics to improve the search. It's purely about making the search result look friendly to the person, to to your users. And I don't know why I'm on a Barack Obama kind of crusade here, but apparently I am. Thank you very much.